channel, ready for shoot. Born to be rad, where the memories unfold. From Blu-ray DVDs to the VHS window. Humongous in the world. Scream Factory 2, got the classics. Bad movies, the thriller we crave. Collectibles and autographs and treasures to save. Born to be rad, channel of our dreams, taking us back to those nostalgic scenes from the flicker screen to
RadNet, a stronger and more connected community. It's a vision for a better future.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know this is a very different time tonight, a very different time than I'm usually live here. So if anybody's popping in, come say what's up. Usually I'm going live about 11:30, 11 p.m., not 8 p.m. So again, maybe a different group of people will finally get to check this out live tonight. But what I want to do is I want to talk about something that I recently got in the mail, something that is brand new, and it's something a little bit different. But for all you movie lovers out there, all you movie fans, it's something I think people are really going to appreciate, because again, it has to do with the things that we love, the movies of the past, the present, and it also has to do with things like physical media and stuff like that. So definitely just going to be an interesting thing to showcase and talk about. And if anybody's interested in going to pick this thing up, it's going to be a real cool addition to the collection. I see a couple people popping in. If you are checking this out, come say what's up. I will get to you guys quick, and then I'll start going through this thing and kind of talking a little bit about what I have here. So we got Astro Juicy in the house hanging out over at Twitch. What's up, man? Big Rod, what is going on? Tape Rod, what's up, man? So guys, we have this brand new hardcover book called Neon Void. Check this thing out. Look at this. This thing is sick. It's stacked. Now, what is this thing? What is this? Now, check this out. This is a book about an artist that I've been following and collecting for a long time. And if you are in the poster or alternative movie print game, you definitely know the name Ryan Tobin. And this book is basically kind of talking about his journey in that, his art, showcasing a lot of his art. And what's nice about it, too, is it kind of, like I said, talks about his journey, showcases a lot of his pieces that he did from the beginning up until now. And what's cool, too, is it's got some images in here of like sketches that, you know, pre-sketches to what ended up coming to be. And not only does he do posters and stuff like that, but I mean, guys, like, check this out. This is the artwork he did for, let's say, that Cabin in the Woods limited steel book from, I believe, Best Buy. So very, very cool. So you've probably seen a lot of his artwork also on things like Blu-rays, 4Ks, vinyl, books. I think I have a cassette tape that he did for Cobra Kai or something like that. But somebody I've definitely been collecting for quite a while. And again, he's a real cool dude. And I was so excited to finally get this thing. And check this out, guys. The forward of this book is done by Alex Winter. You know, Alex Winter, the Lost Boy himself. Check this out. Alex Winter is doing the forward for this book. And this is a book that's still available. You can get it, I think, at Printed in Blood is where I got mine. I see more people popping in over here. What's up, Antonis? Astro Juicy. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this, guys, because, again, check out some of this artwork here. You guys are Elm Street fans. Check this sucker out. Now, I have this poster. I think this was a Mondo joint or whatever from back in the day, but how rad is that? And these are all the kind of things you're going to see in this book, is all his different artworks in here. And I'm going to flip through really quick. Check this Child's Play 2 out. I have this bad boy as well. Very cool. He did a little collaboration with Mr. Gary Pullen, I think, on that one, because I have both from an event that they did. And really quick, look at this. You got Pee-wee and Ernest Scared Stupid. That Ernest Scared Stupid print is probably like one of the hardest, most valuable print I think that guy's done. But again, that all comes inside this book. So if you are poster collectors and you are fans of this book, definitely go check it out as we get through this thing. What's this? Ephraim, what's up? Welcome to Primetime. What is going on, man? Thank you guys for being here. We're just going through the brand new hardcover book, Neon Void, from Mr. Matt Ryan Tobin, talking about his career in his artwork. And guys, I really am excited to get this thing going. Let's talk about it now. Bro,
my dude,
what are you doing here, man?
Just came in to crash your stuff, dude.
Oh my God, guys. It's Matt Ryan Tobin in the house, and we are talking about his brand new book. Dude, why'd you come in here to hang out with me tonight? I appreciate that.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Thank you, my man. Now, again, having you here, I think, is going to be even cooler because we can talk in depth about this thing. And how proud are you of this right here, man? This is pretty damn rad, if you ask me.
It's, yeah, the feelings are, pretty rich with that. It was when I got the first prototype copy, it was like a lot of emotions. It's something that I think every artist kind of, or most artists dream of having, is kind of like a book that's, shows the, their work over time. And it feels almost prestigious or cool, maybe like too cool for me, but definitely holding it in my hands the first time, I was taken aback for sure. Yeah.
You're so humble, man. I love it. When we met up a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, like all these prints are so sick. Like I hope these are hanging around up in your house. You're like, no, I don't have any of this stuff hanging. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, what people don't know is like, I'm very lucky because I got to see your handsome face in person.
Oh my God!
Right? I got to get a look at Garrett in person, and my jaw hit the floor at just the handsomeness of this gentleman.
Holy mackerel, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. So if anybody wants to see me live and in color, I will actually be at Silver Scream Con this coming weekend in Worcester, Mass. So if anybody's at the convention and they want to see me in person and come say what's up, please find me. I will be there. And I'll be at the concert seeing Ice Nine Kills and In This Moment on Saturday night, which is pretty cool. And man, you were just here in Boston for an event, which is how we've met up. And man, what a cool little event. And I hear that they're even really excited about it. They want to maybe make it a little bit bigger and badder next time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the idea is, to see how it goes. And this is the second year that it happened, Mass MiniCon, and it was even better than the first year. So that's the whole goal, is to build up this thing bigger and better. And the people behind the scenes running that thing have so much passion and love for, physical media and the art culture, pop art culture and film and TV and all the things that we all love. So having a sort of event that, where we can all get together and celebrate that is awesome. And I think it's been missing for a long time. So it's awesome to see I'm really hopeful to see where that goes.
Yeah, man, it was cool to kind of see everybody there, all the artists that I've been following for so long. And like I said, when I first got onto this, when this book was announced, I was so stoked for it because I've been following your stuff for a while now. I think at first it was almost accidentally. Like I got into the, alternative art print game from my friend Jason. If you've ever seen the website Icon vs. Icon, that was him. And he really got me into this thing. And I was like, I don't need a new thing to collect. And he's like, no, you got to trust me. They're really cool. And then you get into commissions and all this stuff. But dude, it's a wild ride when you start playing around in commissions and all this other stuff. And I noticed, I think like the first print I got, I don't remember what was it. It could have been, to be honest, I think it was one for class of 1984 that was like, it might have been a bunch of artists had to like kind of collabed on it or something like that. And then I remember grabbing your first True Romance print, but I didn't know, much about artists at that time. I just saw, oh, cool print. Yeah. And it's like that red and gold one. And I was like, oh, I'll grab that. And then I don't know if it was before or after, but I also grabbed the Jason Takes Manhattan that was done for, I think, was that 8-Bit Zombie? Who had
Electric Zombie.
Electric.
Yeah, Cal Crawford. Yeah. Yeah.
So I grabbed that one, and then all of a sudden a poster drop came with like Lost Boys and Halloween and something else. And I was like, I'll grab these two. And then all of a sudden I'm like looking at all my stuff, trying to hang it up. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is all the same guy. Like, this is all the same dude that did all these prints. And I was like kind of blown away because at that time I didn't really know a lot about artists. I was kind of getting into it. And all the ones I was picking up happened to have your name on there. And I was like, holy crap. So then I started to kind of look you up and, you know, started getting into the more of the stuff. And I've been following you kind of ever since. Do you remember, was True Romance or the Manhattan, which one was first for you?
I think Manhattan was first. I think that might have been the first one I first, like, I think maybe large scale that was actually, no, you know, I did a poster even before that. Like, well, there's older ones, but Manhattan definitely came before True Romance.
Okay. So Manhattan must have been the first one I snagged, which is
Yes.
still an iconic print, I think, you know, and at the time, you know, what prints go for on specific sites. I mean, that was like a steal, I think, like on Electric Zombie at the time. Like, I think it was like, it could have been like maybe $25 or something, you know?
At most. Yeah.
And I'm sure that thing is selling for a couple $100s now, considering how old it is.
Yeah. And, you know, that's back in the day too, when I didn't have, you know, the forethought to hold on to prints, you know? So I got a few of those and I don't even have one, you know? Which is such a bummer. There's a lot of prints from early on. Like, there's some that are in my book in the beginning that I don't even have, you know, that I've been like, oh, you know.
No, like, but here's the thing though. Like, I don't know the ins and outs, but I mean, you being the artist saying this is my print, like, can you not go get your work printed out and just to have for yourself? Like, could it be done?
I could take it to, you know, I have some friend of mine who does like premium fine art printing, and he does all of my Giclée printing. But it's like, I could print one out for myself, sure. But like, when it comes to like a Giclée print versus a silk screen print, you know, silk screen, all the colors are laid by hand in a screen printing shop, and it's like, so it's a whole different process. You can't just print one. And so like most of those early ones most of my posters are silk screened. So once they're gone, and then all the screens they used to make those prints are recycled. So you kind of don't have a chance to ever have them again once they're gone. That's also what makes them so collectible, right? So yeah, I don't have any, like, there's some that I don't have like the originals of.
That's so wild though, that you being the artist, and it'd be like, yeah, dude, it would be so much of a process to me for me to actually get my own work. You know, at this point, right? Like, it's crazy to think about.
Now, exactly the same in that process, yeah, for sure.
That's wild. But, you know, that's kind of where I found you. And like I said, even some of that earlier stuff where I know we've talked and you're like, oh man, like, you can tell, like, you've gotten more comfortable. The work's gotten better in your opinion than when you first started. But some of those old prints, like, I still think that Lost Boys one is one of the best prints I think I own, is that one that it says, you know, the Boardwalk logo of Santa Carla on it.
Thanks,
like,
man. Thank you.
That was kind of got to be an earlier one for you.
Oh yeah, that was very early on. Yeah, I think that might have been, that was done for a gallery show at Hero Complex Gallery. I did like 4 posters for that show. That, Blair Witch, I think Let the Right One In, and Dead Alive, all for one show.
Wow.
So it was very early on. Yeah, that was a big first sort of, like, you know, hit into the gallery scene. So yeah.
And that's what's cool about this book. It kind of goes through your journey, like I was kind of telling them. So again, it goes through like the earlier stuff. But when we talked a little bit, you had said, you know, there was a couple things that, you know, you had done early that didn't make the book. And there was specific reasons on maybe why. Maybe you just weren't happy with the final product. Maybe they weren't such a staple in your timeline that they needed to be represented here. But the first one that I'm trying to focus here now on, is some of the early ones. Like, you know, you've done stuff for Horror Hound magazine. You've got the Wes Craven print in here, over here. And I do remember, and I did not ever get this, but I remember when this went on sale, this was a pretty big deal too, was this Halloween 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big one as well. That was like kind of right when I started getting into it as well. So when it came to showcasing some of this stuff, and here's that Halloween that I got from that Hero Complex show, and I think that's the right one into as well. But, you know, I know some of your earlier stuff that didn't make the book that we had kind of briefed on, because to me, they're classics, but to you, you're kind of like, I know someday I'll do these better. And that's two things. That's Little Monsters and Encino Man. To those, like, to me, are like,
Yeah, yeah.
Those were always grails for me to try to get from you because they had come out so long ago. And by the time I get into this, they were long gone. And those being some of my favorite movies, I know you had mentioned, like, yeah, you're looking back on it now, you're like, they weren't, I could do better now. Basically.
Yeah, yeah. Well, those two specifically that you're talking about, Encino Man and Little Monsters, those two prints were my first prints ever in a gallery ever. So they're super old. So for me to kind of, there's some things I can look back on, you know, like that are in the book, for example, and I can look back on and say, oh, I'm still really happy with that. Of course, I think any artist, you know, wants to kind of like looks at some of their old work and wishes they could George Lucas it. You know what I mean? Like go back and just tweak it or change it. You know, because by the time we're done a piece of art, we're usually already like a day after thinking of ways we could have done it better. If that makes sense?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's
there's
plenty of
stuff. Yeah. So with some
directors and people putting out physical media that have recently told me that, like, there's somebody I know that's putting out a new physical media edition. They said, I want to put it out, but I feel like if I say I'm going to put it out now, I'm going to be like, damn it, I should have did this. So he's like, I'm trying to like slow it down to be like, okay, did I cross all the T's and dot all the I's here? So when I put this out, I'm going to be like, I couldn't be any happier. Right.
Exactly.
So I get it.
Exactly.
You know?
Then you realize it's totally unrealistic to sort of try to reach perfection because it doesn't exist. You know, I read something somewhere that was like, you know, there's perfect and there's finished, right? Like you have to know when to just be finished. Excuse me. So yeah, when it comes to like the earlier work that I didn't choose for the book, I think it more or less just came down to like, where do I draw the line at? How far back do I go and what do I feature? Because there's so many newer pieces that I wanted to show, and you kind of have to, there has to be like a balance. And it's like, okay, well, some had to, you know, end up on the cutting room floor. But so the stuff that's in the book more or less is curated, you know, it's all curated by me versus like, or just trying to express what I want to show as part of like the history. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, whose idea was this? Was this your idea of the book, or someone came to you and you said, you know what, that does sound pretty cool?
Actually, the folks at Printed in Blood came up to me. We met in person at a convention, and Steve, who works at Printed in Blood, we just got to chatting, and he asked me, you know, have you ever thought about doing an art book? You know, and he was liked my work a lot, and I was like, you know, I think we all dream about it, but I never thought, you know, it was possible. I don't even know if I have enough, like a large enough body of work to produce a book, you know, which is funny because I had to cut.
You do, dude.
Yeah. So much so that we might be talking about doing a second volume. Like there's a lot, you know, because there's no vinyl, none of the vinyl artwork's in there. It's kind of like the first, you know, volume if we end up doing more. But and so, you know, we got to talking about it, and then he really made me realize that we could make it happen, and walk me through the process. You know, it's my first time ever putting out a book, so but there was so much creative control. I got to just envision it exactly how I wanted to. They were fantastic to work with. All the little, you know, embellishments on the book, like we did, you know, spot varnish gloss on the cover and back cover. We did vellum pages, you know, all the cool stuff that I wanted to do. They were like, yeah, let's do it. And that really made me excited and a little bit more, you know, they lifted my confidence a bit in actually imagining that this could come to fruition. So.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I think it's one of those things that people, movie fans especially, should check this out, because it's just, you get such great images that maybe you don't normally see. And if you're not in the alternative poster game, you may have never seen this before. But it's also dangerous because, you know, collectors have a specific mentality. They get this book, they're looking around like, I gotta have this, print, and then try to hunt it down somewhere, which isn't always the easiest thing to do at this point. And I flipped the page, and I just want to showcase this one real quick. This was the Lost Boys print that I was talking about, that one of the first ones I got that is still on my wall, and it's like one of my absolute favorite prints. It just encapsulates the movie, I feel like, with all the characters. You got that logo in it. I mean, I just think this is just a great print. And like you said, it was an earlier one. So the fact that to me, this is like a home run, and it's still very, very sought after to this day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when this was released, didn't they do this also on like a wood paneling or something? Like you could get it on like a piece of wood.
I think we did five of them that were screen printed onto sheets of wood. I have one of them. Yeah,
that is you have one of you actually have the wood piece?
Yep.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome.
It's in the archive somewhere. Yeah, but I have one. Next week, I mean, it's the billboard, right? We're like, yo, let's print this on wood.
It's great. It's a great idea. And you also, speaking of the Lost Boys, the forward I said when I first came on the show was done by Alex Winter. Now you have a pretty good relationship with him, right? Because I know you said you started as a huge fan, and then how did that all kind of come about for him? Was it when you did the Freaked poster? Like, what was it that you kind of got in touch with Alex?
Oh, it's hard to think back to when else. It was a long time ago. I think it was like 15 years ago. I had actually done a poster for Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey for this clothing company, and it was just this like, a couple color silkscreen fan art type of poster I just wanted to do. And I guess Alex was at a convention and he saw the artwork and he really liked the artwork. And I believe he actually reached out to me via email to say that, the work was cool and it just kind of like was just unreal to begin with. And then we just kind of start chatting here and there, about different things. And I've designed so much like merchandise for Bill and Ted. And I think it's kind of kept our, relationship sort of like, we're always kind of chatting here and there because I'm always working on something, But yeah, it just came down to chit chat over the years and, kind of becoming pals and then, working on Freaked, working on the new Bill and Ted movie stuff for that. And then, some other projects that I worked on with Alex personally, it's just chit chat. And then we finally met last year for the first time, like in person at Texas Frightmare. And the photo in the book is
I was just gonna
Alex
find
and I,
it. Yeah,
first time.
that's right. Yeah.
And it was awesome. He was so excellent to hang out with, and he just, we chatted each day. He came by the booth a few times, and we got to have a little bit of chatting, and it was good. Yeah. So I asked him to do the forward for the book, and he was enthusiastically open to it. So, which just made my day. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do the book if he's not going to do the forward.
Well, not only did he do the forward, dude, he wrote a lot.
He did. Yeah, it was
a lot here. It's like, wow, how long has he known Matt for?
Yeah, the first time I read it, it was like super emotional for me. Yeah, it hit pretty hard. I've been a fan of Alex's work for years. I mean, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is still to this day my favorite film of all time, and it kind of shaped, I think, a lot of my sense of humor, a lot of my musical tastes, everything kind of stemmed from there from a really young age from watching that film, and so it's kind of crazy how it's come full circle, how I think sometimes you can manifest things. It's really bizarre. It
is wild that you bring up the Bill and Ted's merch, because now all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. So I have the Be Excellent to Each Other t-shirt, the white with almost like the regular font on it.
Yeah.
And I just put two and two together that was yours.
Yeah.
That's so funny. The white tee with like the Nike looking like block.
Yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
The typeface that's just super reminiscent of the 90s. And Nike used a lot like the Just Do It campaigns, but it was on everything back then. So I think we had a whole idea. Me and we did that with Mondo, and I worked on that with a creative director named Allie Whalen. She's awesome. And we actually were going to do like a whole line of like Bill and Ted slogan shirts. So we were going to have, that one, and then one that just said station, and different kind of like bogus, that kind of thing. And that's the one that stuck. So
that is awesome. I do have two of your prints. I don't know if they're in the book, but I have the two prints that you did for Bill and Ted, but the old ones with like they were like white with like all the faces and stuff all over them. Those are the two I have. I don't actually have the new ones that you did to collaborate with the new movie. Oh yeah, these are the ones I have right here. Are these the ones that he saw for the first time? Because I own these two. These are.
Oh yeah, no,
super dope.
Well, not those. There was one I actually did before that. It's not even in the book. You can see first in the forward intro page. He's actually signing them at that convention.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So those are so you've done Bill and Ted quite a bit, because you did a whole nother line of the three movies.
Yeah.
It's funny.
All kind of when the third one came out. Yeah.
And didn't you do the vinyl too?
I did the soundtrack as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Man.
For for Excellent Adventure and Face the Music, and one day still hoping that Bogus Journey soundtrack can come to fruition. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
On that. No end date for that though yet.
Sure, sure. But going through some of this stuff, and I'm just curious, and you could say yay or nay. Has there ever been a point in time where you've started a print and then you thought to yourself, this would work better somewhere else or whatever? And the only reason I say that is because, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can remember this came out right around the time of Venom, and I think there was things going around the internet that said that, I don't know, was House of the Devil and Venom connected in any way with this tongue situation, or no?
No. I think it was just
okay.
something I conceptualized. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know, because I think somebody said like, oh, it looks like maybe, I think this was like way back when these two came out, that maybe that he started with this and then he turned it into Venom and then went back and did this because they both kind of had like the similar tongues.
Oh, really?
There was no correlation between those two where you're like, this would work for this. Okay.
No, definitely not. There's so many years apart too, those posters.
Oh, they were years apart.
Yeah, I think the idea with House of the Devil was just essentially to have like the house be like the mouth of the devil and have the tongue coming out of the doorway, like a sort of serpentine walkway.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about how many prints, do you know offhand how many prints you've got? For someone who said, I don't think I've got enough. Between books and Horror Hound magazines and all this stuff, like how many could you have possibly? You've got to have hundreds, man.
Man, I don't even know. I mean, the books around 240 pages. But not every page is a poster. So
sure.
Oh God, I couldn't even give a number. There's so many.
That is wild to think about. Because again, as I'm scrolling through here and you're seeing the different things for like Horror Hound magazine, and you get the Sandlot one, and then which is actually pretty cool too, because I do like this. I'm like, oh, this would have been a sweet variant. Is that Exorcist print that you did, which I have? I actually really like this first one. With Pazuzu in the back, that first one where you switched it out.
Yeah.
And it's like a little story behind why the change was made or whatever. But that's a pretty sick variant with that statue in the back or whatever.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we were, and I actually wanted to do Captain Howdy's face. We were going to do it in reverse ink, so you print it underneath the black ink in another color, and then that way, because black ink is on a screen print is.
You can see it in this.
So when you look at it from a certain angle, you can see if something's underneath the ink. So I had Captain Howdy's face in there. So when you kind of tilt at it, you can see it. But
that is sick, because when you look at this, even under this image, you can see its face in there.
Yeah.
Which is super rad. I mean, that's really, really cool. And one of the big ones I wanted to talk about, which is wild, because this is a little bit more of a current one, but this is a one that's turned into a freaking instant classic. I mean, I don't know how this thing came and went so quickly. I missed it. It's this damn Crow one. I mean, look at how sick this is. Like that red one is insane, like completely insane. But I see in here that you had some images of like, this was different ideas, right? We had the crow on the guitar and stuff like that, which is kind of showing your process of like, this is what it was going to be. We changed it around to this. And let me know, like, how did that all come about where you're like, okay, this is what I want. And then all of a sudden it drastically changed to Draven.
Well, here's the thing. It's cool. I can talk about this because I actually didn't write about it in the book. But I actually pitched that idea to Mondo. I had watched The Crow, it'd been years since I'd watched it, and I was watching one day, and I just had this great idea for a poster. What I thought was a great idea for a poster, I was like, I'd love to do a poster of just the crow perched on the headstock of the guitar over top of the city, with the rain coming down and running down the guitar. I'm like, I just think that would be an awesome poster. And I pitched it to Mondo just out of the blue. And the reason why I didn't automatically jump to featuring Brandon Lee is because sometimes with working with certain licenses and on certain posters, you don't have everybody's likeness all the time. So you kind of have to do workarounds. And I just naturally assumed, given certain circumstances, that it was probably impossible to get Brandon's likeness for the poster. So I just went with the bird on the guitar, but it's also a concept I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it off, and we found out that, we could use his likeness. And so we're like, oh shit, like awesome, amazing. So then that kind of flipped the script on the whole thing. And I was like, well, you know what? This is going to be like kind of the first, alternative movie poster, licensed poster for The Crow. Let's do like a hero shot. Let's just really, and this is with under, the creative direction as well of, Eric Garza and Mitch Putnam, who are used to work over at Mondo, now at Mutant, who are incredible art directors. And we're like, let's just focus on Brandon. Let's give him a really shining moment on this poster. And that's when it turned out. So, and it worked out, ended up being better.
Oh my God. That is an amazing print. And it was one of those ones that you slept on it for like a day and it was gone. And you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Why did I do that? And it's fantastic. Now going back to the likeness thing, and you said sometimes it has to be a workaround, but before we get to that, Jason Icon Up versus Icons in the House, he says, the Crow is a grail for me that I'm still chasing. Curious to know what prints you guys might be hunting. For me, I mean, Crow definitely is one for sure. How about you? I know you had mentioned before there was a couple things that you were after as far as art prints, just in general.
I have some grails for sure. My goodness, off the top of my head, it probably dates back to like the early Mondo days. Like the stuff that really got me into this world of collecting. It would have to be something from back then. Off the top of my head, one that I've always loved was Tyler Stout's Lost Boys. He's a great artist, Tyler Stout. And Ken Taylor is an artist I admire and love, and he's a great dude. He did a poster for Terminator 2 early on, years back. And I still think it's like the best Terminator art I've ever seen. I still love it. So yeah, those are two big ones for me. I think that I'd be after, or I'm still after, one day I'll get it.
And this is what's so wild again with this whole world. Like how, like I look at this and I'm like, how do you guys not all get together, artists, and call each other and be like, yo, send me this and I'm going to trade you one. I'll send you one of mine. Like there's gotta be that.
Oh,
okay. I was going to say everything's so secretive. I'm like, you guys should easily be able to be like, yo, Stout, you got a Lost Boys extra one hanging around. You can send me or whoever, right? Like it just seems like there's gotta be something like that where you can deck out your house with exactly the prints that you want from your friends or whatever.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have this sort of like, we have what we call, the Canadian Horror Club. It's, we call ourselves Worst Case Ontario. And it's me, me, Gary Pullen, Sarah Deck, Phantom City Creative, Jason Edmiston. And that's basically what we do. Whenever like each other has like a new print coming out, we're like, dibs, we just, or we whenever we get together, we all like have a party or something, like we'll be hanging out this Halloween, doing something for Halloween. We each just show up with stuff and just give each other our stuff,
Right. That's great. I mean, that's huge because it's such an easy in where it's like, you know what, you guys are all doing the same thing. You don't want to hang your stuff on the wall, but you'd be happy to hang some of the cool prints that your friends are doing.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. I literally have separate drawers in my flat file cabinets just for them, like just for that crew, Yeah.
That's so cool. And speaking of Terminator, I just wanted to, and talking about the likeness thing, I assume there was no Arnold likeness, and that's why we had to go with this like half, skeleton look, which again is another great looking print, is these two variants of the Terminator one.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that's the workarounds that you're having to talk about, where it's like you can tell it's him, but you had to do a little bit of change.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It even came down to where, you'll get some very specific notes sometimes, like even his hair was like, we had to like make his hair a little bit different than what, even though you can't see his face, there are workarounds that you have to do, but honestly, sometimes it works out for the better. And even with that Terminator print, I think that just having the endoskeleton face, printed under the first layer of ink, I think is a cooler conceptually than just having Arnold's face. You know what I mean? It gives it another layer to peel back, I think. But the really cool thing about that print is on the variant is what we got away with, which is, the variant we did, it's like Terminator vision. And if you look underneath, I think it's underneath Linda Hamilton's picture illustration there, it says the actual response options.
Oh yeah, it does.
You see where where he's in that room, I think, and they have the option of saying
yes, no, do what, go away, please come back later. fuck you, asshole.
Yeah, fuck you,
that-
asshole, right? And so I pitched that to Studio Canal, but I had it like whited out, almost like that was selected by his, viewfinder
Right. Yeah.
option. And they're like, wait, what is that supposed to say under there? And I was like, well, fuck you, asshole. But we're gonna blur it out. And they're like, no, let's go with it. And we're like, what? Awesome. So
Yeah.
that was
That's cool, man.
yeah,
That
it's
is really
fun.
cool. Rob Romano in the house. He said, "What's up, boys?" He said, "Matt Ryan Tobin's one of my favorite artists. He has so many awesome prints, but as been told, blood sucking Vamp Brady Bunch is by far my favorite in my collection." And he also said he's still on the hunt for Silver Bullet.
Oh,
Oh, something. He said he finally got it. He bit the
Oh,
bullet
okay.
and forked over the dough for it. It's beautiful in person, he says.
oh, thanks, Rob. Thanks, man.
What a great movie that is, too.
I know, so good.
And then
I
we got
haven't-
Mel from My Killer Podcast, 1/3 of the Rad Pack in the house. She says, "Yo, Matt, good to see you, dude. Love the book."
Yo, yo, yo. How you doing? Thank you.
And then Dynamite Tiger says, "Just made an order for the Neon Void book. Cannot wait to dive into these amazing images. Well done, sir. God bless."
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, well, speaking of this book here, there was two options for this book.
Oh yeah.
yeah, there was. There was this regular edition, and there was like this silver edition that came with your autograph, and I think it had like a different sleeve
silver
or something.
edition just for that Corey Haim.
Well,
joint.
that's my gripe now is that all of a sudden I placed my order first day thinking like, oh, I'm going to support Matt. I'm getting this first day. Then all of a sudden these images started to leak, and it's like, oh, well, if you bought this other edition, you get these extra little prints that come included.
Mhm.
And of course, one was Corey Haim was one of the prints. Now, how could you do that to me and put a Corey Haim print in there? And now all of a sudden I'm like, well, I already bought the book, and now I don't have this hamster print. What size is that print, anyways? It's a little one, right?
It's a 8x10. 8x10 Giclée print. Yeah.
So it'd be pretty easy, I guess, to just slip that in an envelope and send it in the mail, right? Pretty easy.
Well,
8x10. You don't have to roll it.
I might have already planned to do that, but if you're asking, maybe it won't be a surprise now. I don't know.
Shit. Damn it.
Us Canadians are pretty generous, so I don't know.
You kick ass, dude. Thank you. No, but that's it. See, but that's it. You took care of yourself. You put Haim in there, another Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge, man. We're big Lost Boys fans over here, as you can see by Matt's shirt. And I think you even said that the Lost Boys print that maybe it's the one you're after, but you said that was there was a Lost Boys print early on that said kind of got you into the love of like maybe becoming an artist in this game, right?
Yeah. That's the Lost Boys poster literally changed the game for me. I mean, I talk about it a little bit in my book as well, but there's an artist by the name of James Dream Davis who is actually I consider like a big brother in my life now, which is wild to say. But I saw his poster for the Lost Boys that came out like, I don't know, 2007, 2008. And I don't know where I came across it, somewhere online. And I did a bit of research, and that's when I was first kind of introduced to the world of like alternative film posters and like Mondo and Alamo Drafthouse, cinema and all that kind of stuff. Because at the time I was a graphic designer and illustrator for clothing companies and like band merch. I did a lot of work for bands, and when I found out that there was this whole sort of underground, cool movie poster world, I was like, I got to get in. I got to do this. This is my jam. You kind of get a little bit worn out doing, drawing other people's ideas all the time, like, which is fine, but working with musicians and stuff, they have a pretty specific idea of what they want, but just being able to create art for films that you love, like coming from purely a place of passion, was so refreshing and something I really wanted to get into. So that poster kind of set that off. And, funny story, eventually me and James became friends because I tried to buy a poster off his website. He had a poster for Black Christmas, and which I still have. And it took forever to ship. And I was just like, hey, dude, where's my poster? And he's like, I'm so sorry. And then a couple days later, I got a tube with that poster and like 5 other prints in it. And I was just so thankful. I sent him another message, and I actually asked him, I said, hey, would you ever want to design posters for my band? Tour posters or, whatever. And I showed him the band, and he actually became a huge fan of my band. So we would just swap my band's merch for his posters. and then that kind of became.
Why don't you plug that band?
Pardon?
Because I'm sure. Why don't you plug that band that you were part of there?
Oh, probably just because it feels like 100 years ago at this
What
point.
the heck? But okay, so I was into the scene back then. So there was two bands, or was it the same band, different name? Did you have two?
I had two bands, yeah. Yeah, so the first
You
song,
were singer, right?
yeah, singer-songwriter, yeah. The first band was called Dead and Divine. We had some moderate success. We did pretty well. Had about four or five albums that we did. And then that band broke up, and then I started another band just to kind of more as like a passion project for me, and like a labor of love thing that was just purely my thing, called Ritual. And we put out one record, and I'm constantly writing music all the time. Plans to do a second album, but it's just kind of getting to it when I get to it, kind of thing.
Now, what years do you think that was that you guys were like Dead and Divine were out there?
2003 to 2012, almost 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I started the band when I was in high school.
That's wild.
And went on our first tour across Canada, and I was 17. Bought a van and booked our own tour and drove across the country. And then when we came back, we got signed to a label. And then it was kind of from that point on, I was a musician.
Now around that time, like what were any notable acts that you had toured with at all? Was there any that you opened for? Like,
oh yeah, Silverstein, Norma Jean, Protest the Hero, Cancer Bats, Alexis on Fire.
Oh yeah,
we played with a lot of bands. Comeback Kid, Architects. A lot of those dudes, were our friends. We did a big tour with Misery Signals. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Touring. We did Europe with Norma Jean and the Chariot. That's one of my favorite tours that we ever did. It was overseas. Yeah,
that's wild, dude. And you guys have videos and stuff. It's
yeah. Actually, it's weird. We don't have that many music videos. It was like a time in the music scene where like TV was kind of dying out. Like MTV, Much Music was kind of, so music videos weren't really popular. And like we would try to get our label to make music videos, and they never wanted to. And I'm a very visual person, so it used to kind of be really disheartening to not do music videos. But it was kind of like this lull where there weren't a lot of music videos. I don't know what it was, but so we only have a couple.
I mean, that was a cool time in music, though. I mean, I went through a lot of phases when it came to the music that I was listening to. I was really big into the hardcore scene, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, with like, people like Hatebreed and Strife, Earth Crisis, and you did, yeah.
And Amir, yeah.
That's sick. And then, it kind of came into like more like, then all of a sudden Atreyu came around and they were a big one. I was obsessed with...
It's so funny, this small world, like Atreyu. I used to design merch for the guitar player of Atreyu's clothing brand.
Oh yeah. What was that called again? I remember that.
I can't, something Shred, I think. God, it was so long.
I remember it too.
Yeah. It's a very, very small world. Yeah.
And, I became kind of friendly with, I'm friends with somebody who's very friendly with James Hart, who was the singer for 18 Visions.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a really good dude. And that was like a band that I was like really, really digging at that time as well.
Friends with my good friend Jeff, who runs Mass Minicon, but also the guitar player of 18 Visions, Ken, managed the tour that I was on.
Ken is Throwdown Ken? Throwdown?
No, Ken from 18 Visions.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was he from? Was he in another band before? Or no, not Throwdown. That was somebody else.
No, I don't know what other bands Ken was in. Just 18 Visions.
But it's a small world, though.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff was big back then, like Alexis on Fire and Misery Signals and all them. Kill Switch was hot at the, then as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a great time for music there. I mean, here.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's actually kind of underappreciated, really. A lot of that era of jams in that like early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And going to the music thing, man, like think about full circle. Like you're doing music posters and gig posters for bands like Pearl Jam and Smashing Pumpkins. Like that's even more wild. Like how does like even something like that come to your plate? Like, hey, do you want to design for Pearl Jam? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, the Pearl Jam's kind of a different situation. It's but that's just kind of meeting people, just, you know, working conventions and shows and talking and, you know, that kind of thing. But I mean, more or less, it's just kind of, you know, you get a DM or an email from somebody who sees your art and they work for the bands, or they have a company that's, you know, releasing art on behalf of the bands, and they ask you, hey, do you want to do it? And that's kind of it. It's pretty simple, really. You know, so I mean, it's following like advice I was given a long time ago when I was trying to get into the, you know, the poster game and into gallery work and stuff like that. That my friend Justin Erickson from Phantom City gave me, where he said, he told me, just keep making art. Like, just keep making art, even without purpose, you know, just keep making art that you love to make, and, you know, someone will notice. And that's kind of, I still live by that. So even when, for example, when we were talking about the Crow, like, if no one's going to ask me to make a Crow poster, I'm going to design one and then pitch it, you know what I mean? And see if it sticks anywhere. So.
Now, I flipped to kind of the back of the book here, because we were talking about the band doing stuff for Pearl Jam and Smashing Pumpkins and all this other stuff here. And there's a picture that you drew at 10 of Billy Corgan in here. Now, how wild though is that when you really think about full circle, right? Like, how wild is that? It says,
yeah,
age 10, and you drew Billy Corgan, dude. Look at that. Now, were you also the guy, like, kind of like me, when you got those 5-star notebooks and you decided you were going to draw all the bands on the back?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that. You're doing the Dead Kennedys
logo. That's probably that. I mean, that's lined paper. That's probably from one of them. 100%. Yeah.
Those are the days. We had fun on all those paper book covers and whatnot. We would draw all fun stuff on there.
You could tell a lot about somebody based on what they drew on the covers of their books.
Mine was always bands all the time. It was always like different bands and stuff, for sure.
Bands with Beavis and Butthead or Ren and Stimpy. You know, that's
like Bart Simpson on the side.
Yeah.
That is so funny. But yeah, like, it's just wild, man, and it's awesome just to see, you know, what you're doing and how you're branching out from just doing things like movies and posters. And now, like I said, like, you're on physical media editions, you've got books, you're on vinyls, and it just seems like it's just a real cool time right now for this whole world of alternate artwork, because, you know, physical media in one end of the spectrum is kind of going away, but then you've got the collectors, the same people that are collecting the art prints, that are the ones that are all over physical media now. So to have your artwork, you know, put on some of these things is really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's yeah, I think, you know, no matter what, no matter how digital our sort of, you know, world gets, I think there's always going to be a want for tangible, tactile things. People are always going to want something that they can hold, they can feel, they can, you know, associate with, and something that's real. And so that's why I don't ever really worry about physical media as much, because I think, like, you've just seen in recent years, like, how much, you know, people appreciate it, with vinyl sales being more than they've ever been in, like, history, I'm pretty sure, you know, and like DVD, or sorry, Blu-ray sales, you get your Steelbook editions, all these different versions, and people love to collect. They love to, you know, they love nostalgia. They like having a piece of who they are, what shaped them, the things they love, a piece of that to own. Do you know what I mean? I think there's always going to be value in that, you know?
100%. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about, you know, getting likenesses for different people to do artwork on. And recently you just dropped your Beetlejuice print, which you said the likeness for Michael Keaton was a pretty important thing for that print that made it extra special. I did get one. I don't know if they are gone now. I don't know if they're sold out.
Yeah.
Long gone.
Yeah.
Now, what was the process like behind that? And obviously, I know with Beetlejuice being a hot topic right now because of the new movie, it seemed like this was lined up pretty on point with the drop of this movie, and I'm sure this was done on purpose. And is it weird that it's taken you this long to do something like a Beetlejuice? And because you hadn't done that before, right?
No, you know, it's actually weird. It's weird that I haven't done Beetlejuice already. You know, it's really in my wheelhouse too. I think it was just a timing thing, but also, you know, a little bit inside baseball. Like, this was an idea that, like, I cooked up and kind of wanted to work on with Jason Edmiston, as doing a sort of collaboration together. And it's something we tried to work on, but it just didn't line up. Schedules busy, So, you know, I was just, you know, asked Jay, like, you cool if I run with this, on my own? He's like, go for it. And so that's why if you look, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, and his name's in there as well. But I think it was just timing and a concept and composition that kind of came to me at the right time. Because, that's another thing too. Like, if I don't have a strong enough idea, then I don't think it's kind of worth putting it into the conversation, if that makes sense. It's got to be cool, look cool, interesting to me. Something that I would hang in my office, even though I don't.
You wouldn't hang it anyways. But if you did, or if you saw it hanging in someone else's room, you'd say, "All right."
Yes, exactly.
Now, whose decision was it that we're going to try to get him to sign off on this and do this print, or on the likeness at least? Now, is this something that he had to approve, like, after the print was done? Did he just say, yeah, go do whatever? Or like, how does that all work coming from the alternate side?
Honestly, it's a little bit outside of my zone there, because that's kind of the legal side of things and licensing side, which I don't really have, like, I'm not in those talks or anything like that. But all I know is that we were granted Keaton likeness, which it was a big deal because for years there hasn't been that allowed. You know what I mean? He hasn't been signing off on approving likeness. So yeah, he did have to sign off on it. So that's, that made it extra special. So I really wanted to showcase him in that poster as best as I could.
Yeah, that is definitely cool. Now, a couple things before we kind of wrap this up. Obviously the book is out. You can get it printed in blood. I know some people have already said they purchased it, which is awesome. It's really, really cool. I have it here. And talking a little bit about your career in the book and stuff like that. But, a couple things is things that you might have coming in the pipeline. So people that maybe are checking this out for the first time, checking you out for the first time. I know something that you're doing that I'm already excited for, and that's the A24 books on X and Pearl and Maxine. You did the artwork for those. They look really good. So I know that's kind of coming down the line there. Yeah. Is there anything else that you have coming that you can talk about now?
Oh, it's tough. It's always so secretive. We have to sign things.
Yeah, of course.
It sucks because there'll be radio silence from a lot of artists, and then suddenly it's like, here's a whole bunch of stuff at once because it's been working on it. It's got to go through processes.
Well, you can talk about. You do have a big sale coming up. You can talk. Oh,
yeah. See, I'm horrible at plugging myself. Like,
it's an important one too, because you might find some hidden gems in there from this book that are not easily attainable anymore, right?
Yeah. I have a poster drop coming up on Friday at noon Eastern time, 12 noon Eastern time. And yeah, it's kind of like I've just been so busy that I haven't been able to do any artist proof drops. For those who don't know, artist proofs are like my copies I get of the posters. So they're from the original run, but I get an allotted amount to sell. And so I'm kind of backlogged on releasing those to the public. So I'm dropping a whole bunch of APs. And then when I was kind of down organizing all of that, I was like, I've got to clean out my flat file and just organize all my archives. And then this always happens is you'll find one like in between another poster, like, oh my God, I still have one of these. And so I found a few that are like literally the last copies of things that exist.
So it goes back to you're not going to keep any of your own stuff again. Is that kind of where we're going?
Well, now I do.
So you have one.
Yes, okay. I've learned my lesson. I keep 3 to 5 of everything that I do, and that goes right into a separate flat file cabinet. That's just like for me. That's like along with my collection of posters that I collect from other artists and artwork and all that stuff. So I'm good on that front now. Now I'm smarter.
Now, obviously you can. It's Matt. What's your site?
Worksofmattryan.com.
Okay, and that's where the poster drop's going to take place.
Yeah, so it has my shop link in there, which is my big cartel. So if you go to mattryanTobin.com, go up to the top, click shop, and then that'll take you to my web store.
And there are prints for sale on there now, currently, or no?
Yep.
Is Suburban Commando still hanging around in there?
Suburban Commando.
I remember back in the day when I was always looking at your site and stuff, and I was always like, holy shit, I want Suburban Commando. But then
you're winning brownie points with me, though. You are.
I was all about it. I'm like, oh my God, Suburban Commando, hell yeah. But then I think it was like a too small, and I was like, oh, I don't have any room for a 18 by 24 or whatever it may be. There was a reason that I didn't pick it up at the time, but I always remember seeing it in the store and being like, damn it, it's still calling my name over there. But that needs a redo. You need a 24 by 36 badass Suburban Commando, as badass as your what is it called? The Schwarzenegger one with the golden ticket. What's that? What is it?
Oh, Last Action Hero.
You need a Suburban Commando similar to the Last Action Hero. But bonkers. That's what we need. That's the one. That's the money right there.
And I bet it'll sell as much as my Last Action Hero one did. Which
well, let me ask you this: did it or no?
It did okay.
Because for some reason I do remember seeing it on the site still like a while back, and I'll be like, how is this not sold out? This is literally like one of the coolest prints I think I've ever seen.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. But you know, it goes back to what we're talking about, kind of looking at your art in retrospect, and like that's one of those posters where I personally feel it was a bit like I was a bit overzealous on it, and I think looking back, I would have done things a lot differently. And it's just like sometimes you get an idea, and I think at that point where my skill set and maybe confidence in executing it wasn't where it should be. Does that make sense?
Sure, but it's funny because I think about like that's another one. That and Lost Boys, they sit on either side of my room facing each other and they don't leave. They stay there.
Oh, you have the Last Action Hero?
Of course. I got the golden ticket hooked right to it. I'm gonna go get it. I'll bring it right in for you. It sits in my room. If you look at my room tour on my YouTube, you'll see it. It's still sitting there. I love that print, and I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, like it's almost like let me ask you this: did you find that when you made something too busy, when you look at it now, you're like, I'm different now? Because that's a very busy print, which I think that's what makes it cool to me. Is it's just like there's so much going on in that thing, and then you look at even your Lost Boys one, which again, there is a lot going on in that. Your old Bill and Ted's, there was a lot going on in those. But now when you look at a lot of your newer stuff, like your other Bill and Ted's and the new Lost Boys one and stuff, it's almost toned back a little bit and a little more. Do you find that that's more where your style's going?
100%. I mean, I wouldn't say it's where my style's going as much as it is realizing when I need to use restraint. You know what I mean? It's and having learned that from doing posters like Last Action Hero or Lost Boys, or even if you look back at those old like Encino Man prints from way back, it's like they're so jam-packed. And I think it's because I was so new and I really just wanted to push it to its limit, push all of the artwork to its limit at the point of maybe breaking the artwork a little bit, you know, and now I prefer to, you know, my sort of mantra when I'm working on anything is always less is more. Mm-hmm. You know, I firmly kind of believe that now. I think there's a time and place for everything. So you can have like a sort of chaotic kitchen sink poster and it can work fantastic. And then sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on like.
Now, do you look at that and think that you wouldn't go back to that for a print? Or because I feel like when you look at your stuff now, more the newer stuff, you can tell right away it's you. Like, and I don't know if it's the way it's done or the colors or what it is, but like it, you know, if you take it Last Action Hero and then you put it up against the Crow, like it doesn't feel like the same person that did this. Yeah. Like, so would you, you know, even like looking at like, to me, I'm thinking off the top of my head, like what are the ones like Last Action Hero, like that I have that could be considered that? Maybe Sandlot, maybe. You know, it was very bright. There was a lot going on in there. Yeah. But then you take it back to things like The Crow and then even Terminator and Ninja Turtles. Like it was a little bit more taken back.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to like sort of finding my voice, you know, artistic voice in like a sea of just incredibly iconic artists that I love, you know. And I've never really tried to like do anything specific, you know, to like, I just kind of draw the way I like to draw and color things the way I like to color and you know, and it just turns out the way it does. But it definitely comes down to just growing as an artist, I think, and finding out which road you want to take, you know. And I think I found mine, which is I do like working in minimalist compositions, you know. But there's a time and a place for everything. I recently, you know, just did a poster for House of a Thousand Corpses, and it's pretty, you know, off the wall and wacky.
Now,
you know? But
is that one out already, or is it a commission?
House of a Thousand Corpses?
Yeah,
that was released through Bottleneck Gallery not too long ago.
I might have missed that one, I guess.
Well, it'll be in the drop on Friday.
Oh, well, speaking of the drop on Friday, someone says, I don't know if this is any chance there's where was it? Any chance there is Dust Till Dawn from Dust Till Dawn AP.
No.
No, is that an oldie?
That dream. Right now, no, there isn't, sadly. That's one of the ones where I have one that I own. That's it. I think I'm the only one of those to begin with.
That is wild. And then Jason over at Icon vs. Icon. Hey, Jay, if you weren't here earlier, I blamed you for me getting into this stuff, by the way. He said Roadhouse is one that he had from an OG commission that'll never come down. That's in the book, baby.
Yeah, dude. Thank you.
So that's an old school print, too. And you know what other print I'm just going to throw out there that it may still be available. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, I don't think that anybody could do a better print. And you might look at it as maybe it was too busy. If that Pee-wee's Big Adventure print is friggin' insane.
Oh, thanks. No, see,
I love it.
That's one where it made sense to me because it's actually, compositionally kind of minimalist because there's a lot of negative space. So you're just kind of focusing on Pee-wee's head and everything's bursting out from inside his head. But because you have so much breathing room around it, it allows you to kind of focus and direct your eyes in certain places. So that one, I still love that composition. Like I'll never do another Pee-wee's poster again because I don't think it'll top that one.
I got that signed by him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he put in big letters on the bottom corner in red. It said, I love that story. And then Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, whatever, on the bottom. So that's really
great.
special print to me because obviously, with his passing to have that signed by him. I think I was actually with Jason. Yeah, I was with Jason.
Well, I'm honored you would choose that to get signed, man. So thank you.
Oh man, I mean, it blows the original artwork away. I mean, so of course, we'd have to get that thing signed. But yeah, so if anybody has questions, we'll finish it up with that. So if anybody has questions for Matt, I'll throw them up there for him, see what he can tell you, what he can't. And make sure you tune into his website. Was it Friday you said at noon?
Friday at noon, yeah, in the shop.
At Works of Matt Ryan Tobin, the shop, and he's going to have a little drop over there. And he said there's still prints hanging around the store anyways, if anybody's interested in them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe me about that Last Action Hero, if you type in Matt Ryan Tobin Last Action Hero on Google, you might be able to find one hanging around somewhere. Still for sale, perhaps. But it's a killer print, man, for sure.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
And I know Jason had mentioned to me earlier about his dream of getting Trick or Treat. Now, I assume it's the Sammy Kerr one. I'm only assuming that that's the one he's talking about.
Oh, I would love to do a Trick or Treat like Sammy Kerr poster for sure. Yeah, I love that film. Super underrated.
If I would have known this, dude, I know the people that are doing the Trick or Treat 4K with the box, and they have like 3 different covers, so they have 3 different artists doing it, like Devin Draws has one, yeah. And
I saw his artwork. Yeah, his artwork is so good. So
see, if I knew, I could have thrown in there and be like, contact this guy, and he'll probably love to do Trick or Treat artwork for sure.
His art.
And then someone wants to know if you'd ever, and I do like this print a lot too, but I would love to see another one. Anything for Fright Night ever again?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I mean, it's not completely off the table, but I do have a certain soft spot for the poster I did do for it a few years ago.
Now you're a big Fright Night guy, right? Fan?
Yeah, I love Fright Night. My God, it's amazing.
Cool poster with the apple, man. So different. Now, is there a reason that you said you had a soft spot for that one?
I just loved how the artwork turned out. I loved the concept. Again, I think that was done for Hero Complex. Yeah, it was done for Hero Complex Gallery. That was another poster show where I did a group of posters, and that one again was very, very minimalist and more conceptual rather than focusing on a lot of heads, a lot of likenesses, and those are the posters I tend to gravitate towards just because I like when you have a singular image that tells a story, without giving away the story, or it's not all about the actors. It's more about the narrative, the scenes of Chris Sarandon just eating fruit all the time always so stuck in my head, so like him holding an apple about to eat, Charlie, like Brewster's house, it felt cool,
So are you at a point now where or you just got so much going on where like, can you come up with an idea and a concept and pitch it out, or are you just getting so much things coming to you where it's like you don't even deal with that anymore?
I still pitch out from time to time. If it's not, it's both. If I have a cool idea, but the opportunity hasn't presented itself, I'll see if I can, make it work. You know what I mean? And,
Now, are you still in the game of commissions too?
no,
So you're not commissioning anything anymore. Like you're not doing privates.
no privates anymore.
Okay, now, was there a reason that you stopped doing that?
Just because my schedule got really rammed, but also I work with studios on official capacity, so it's a bit conflict of interest.
Okay, so that's what I was curious about, because I was thinking like people are putting some things down. I'm thinking, would the easiest way to have it try to be done through private, but if you're not going that route that much anymore. But so if you do it,
I do private commissions of like originals. Like I'll do original art, like a drawing or portrait or whatever. But as for like commissioned film posters, no.
Somebody asked Judgment Night. Someone asked, could you do Fright Night 2 to go with your Fright Night 1? That would be pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, I got to I was actually going to rewatch Fright Night 2 the other week. I thought about it, and I couldn't find it anywhere to stream. And then I went to go buy it on Blu-ray, and then I forgot.
Yeah, it's very hard to come by. You can probably get a bootleg Blu-ray or overseas or something like that. Maybe you can get one where you are a little bit easier, but it is definitely one to check out. And maybe what do you say?
So you can get nothing easier in Canada.
So I don't know if you check it out, if you're like, oh, I just came up with an idea that would kind of work, because it's a great one, man, for sure. And what's kind of cool about it too is one of the big poster arts that everybody loves is like that white poster with just kind of the eye and the mouth.
Oh,
whatever.
Love it. Love
it. And you having your Fright Night that's all black, how cool would it be to do a one all white for 2, right? That would be sick.
Yep. I love that poster. It's funny because I think people recognize the poster of that than the film.
100%. Especially because it's been so hard to come by for so long. And someone said Friday Night 2 is on YouTube. Shush. So just a heads up on that. And Irvi just mentioned he must have just popped in. He says, so where does one go to buy your new poster releases when they drop? Now, it's kind of anywhere, right? You got to really be in the know. Follow you on socials to get the heads up. Right?
I mean, I'll always post when there's a new poster coming, but I work through different sort of print houses and companies, whether that's Mutant or Bottleneck Gallery or there's numerous companies that I do work for that release prints. So, but I'll always post about it when there's new print coming out. And then if those do sell out, there's always like a secondary chance to get it when I have my APs, my artist proof copy. So I'll always do an artist proof sale if they sell out, so people have more of a chance to get them.
Yeah, so anybody watching this live right now or anybody watching this on the replay, we're going to go through one more time. We're going to list it all, have everything in the description of this video once it's done. Number one, Ryan Tobin has a brand new book out going through his journey and in a lot of his artwork in here. You can find this over at Printed in Blood. You can check that out. He's got a website, the works of Matt Ryan, correct?
Yep.
The works of Matt Ryan. You can go check out his website. He's got prints on there, and he's also got a huge poster drop coming this Friday at noon for a lot of limited stuff, a lot of stuff that's been out of print that you can probably pick up. And follow him on social media. Instagram, is that where you're usually hanging out more or less?
Yeah, more or less. Just Instagram, yeah.
And it's at Matt Ryan. Is that your
That's
IG?
At Matt
All right,
Ryan.
at Matt Ryan on IG. And he'll post all the updates on all the new stuff coming and where you can find it. So definitely want to follow him so you can get the updates on all his stuff that's up and coming. Like I said, for me, I know, those books are coming for Pearl, X, and Maxine, which is, I've got my eyes on the radar on that. And yeah, man, it's been cool having you. Thank you for crashing the party here, man, to talk to me tonight.
Thank you as always for having me, man. It's so good to chat with you.
Dude, I love it. We're gonna have to find a time where you can come back down here. Is anything in the works for you? Maybe not Northeast, but are you going to conventions or anything up down in the US?
Oh, not this year. Next year, there's good. I'll be back there next year, of course, back in Massachusetts, and doing some conventions in Los Angeles and in not Los Angeles, but California, in Anaheim or Pasadena, and I can't remember now, and Ohio, Texas. Yeah, there's a few things going on, but I'll just drive up tomorrow and come see you. So,
how far is it? I wonder. How far was it for you to get to Boston? Where you are?
If you're driving straight without stopping, 6 hours.
Okay, not
Yeah, it's
not
not
the
bad.
worst.
Not bad at all.
No. Canada's funny because it's like it could be close or it could be far. Like
Yeah.
you know, I don't even know. And Northeast is
Well,
funny
like,
too. because it's
I'm
so
only
small.
15 minutes from Buffalo, New York, so it's like I have friends and family around here that literally drive to Buffalo to get groceries. Like, so I'm right here. You know,
Isn't that wild? I know a kid from Buffalo, New York, who drives to Canada so he can go to Toys R Us. So I mean, it is what it is. You know, like it works both ways. But man, this
Or
has been
it's a
awesome,
waterfall.
dude. But thank you again for coming on, guys. This is Matt Ryan Tobin. Check him out on all his socials. Well, Instagram at Matt Ryan. He'll give you all the info on all the stuff that you can pick up from him. And like I said, pick up the book Neon Void on Printed in Blood right now. This thing is sick. And man, thank you once again for being on here. And this is Garrett at Born2beRad. And like always, stay